violation of civil service laws. We will fight their violation of civil rights laws. We will fight their violations of separation of powers. We will fight their violations of our Constitution of the United States of America. We will not shut up. We will stand up. We will speak up. We will rise up. It is time, as the African spiritual says, for us to lift every voice in condemnation of what's going on.
Nobody in the United States feels like anybody could give them a full accounting of where all this money goes. We're $30-something trillion in debt. We spend more money than we bring in. This has been going on and on for years. Both parties say they're going to do something about it, and then we meet about it, and we have committees, and we fight about it, and we have elections, and no one ever does anything. And then Trump shows up and unleashes Elon Musk on the federal government. And finally, people are like, well, maybe if we break a few eggs, we might turn up a few omelets here. And I just think the politics of this are going to give them a lot of leash in Washington, because they're going to end up turning over things that everyone's going to agree, oh, yeah, that was really stupid.
But Elon Musk also does.
USA ID has gotten a lot of attention in the last couple of days with some of these bizarre things that we've been, taxpayers have been funding. Now it looks like there are a couple media outlets that have been dragged into this conversation as far as USA ID funding as well. Does the president have any comment on that?
So upon coming out here to the briefing room, I was made aware of the funding from USAID to media outlets, including Politico, who I know has a seat in this room. And I can confirm that the more than $8 million taxpayer dollars that have gone to essentially subsidizing subscriptions to Politico on the American taxpayers' dime will no longer be happening. The DOJ team is working on canceling those payments now. Again, this is a whole of government effort to ensure that we are going line by line when it comes to the federal government's books. And this president and his team are making decisions across the board on, do these receipts serve the interests of the American people? Is this a good use of the American taxpayers' money? If it is not, that funding will no longer be sent abroad, and American taxpayers will see.
Yeah, I'm going to keep focusing on this, because the more, I don't know if it's just me, but the more the Democrats try to defend these institutions, oh, we're defending these institutions, but look at what we're spending money on. You think, what is the, like, instead of defending these institutions, why doesn't the Democrats make the argument why we should be paying Politico $8.2 million for pro subscriptions? Like, why they don't make the argument for America's doing that? Why they don't highlight the benefits for the American people to spend $8.1 million to Politico, $3.5 million to the New York Times? Why don't they try to make that argument? Because it's not into the benefit of the American people. It's the benefit from the Democratic Party. Here's a quote from the press secretary. First prize in producing election coverage that reads more like a DNC, the Democratic National Committee press release. It does. As the Trump administration continues cutting waste from the federal government, White House Secretary Caroline Leavitt announced that the left-wing media outlet Politico will no longer receive millions of dollars from the federal government that she said was essentially subsidizing subscriptions. I was made aware of the funding from USAA. You saw the clip already. I don't need to replay it for you. The exact details of how Politico received this large sum from the government are unclear. Politico isn't receiving government grants, but rather has a large number of employees at various federal agencies subscribing to their premium product, Politico Pro, on the taxpayer's dime, a subscription reportedly costing $10,000 a year. Oh, and wait, it gets even better. Other departments, let me find this outline for you guys. Other departments were also paying for subscriptions. I looked at the entire list. There's over 237 examples of Politico Pro prescriptions at outrageous prices. Here are the agencies involved: Department of Energy, Department of Interior, Department of Agriculture. Look at that. Look at this is what the Democratic Party is defending. A news outlet that gives them favorable coverage, that casts doubt to the American people, and you wonder why the American people don't trust the Democrats, why Democrats have such a low favorability rating. Look at what they're defending. $6.9 million from the Department of Health and Human Services. Oh, that's going away. Department of Energy, 4.2. Department of Interior, 3.5. Department of Agriculture, 2.5. Executive Order of the President, 2.2. Environmental Protection Agency, 2 million. Department of Transportation, 1.8. Department of Treasury, 1.4. Department of Commerce, 1.3. Department of Homeland Security, 1.2. And how does CNN cover this? Calling it a lie. Yeah, you're right. You heard it. You heard it right. Yep. The Democrats are calling it a lie. They're like, oh, this is a lie. This is not true. The Democrats, y'all need better propagandists. CNN is lying garbage. It is a fact that the U.S. government spent an exorbitant amount of money on pro accounts for media companies. In one instance, the Department of Energy spent $400,000 in 1 year for 172 subscriptions. It is an indirect way to prop them up while feigning ignorance. White House said it will cancel $8 million in political subscriptions after a false right-wing conspiracy theory spreads. What evidence do they have that this is false? Nada, zilch. Coming directly from the government website. But it's conspiracy theory. Okay. Democrats, this is why y'all lost, bro. Y'all don't know how to message to people. Y'all, for years, my left-wing friends been telling me, you can't run the government like a business. Well, with Donald Trump this term, we'll see how far that will go. Here's Joe Rogan reacting to Donald Trump's approach, and we'll go back and I want to talk on this idea that who gets mad that the government was able to find $23 billion of savings in 1 week? Donald Trump hasn't even been president. What? Donald Trump's been president for 2 weeks, going on 3, and they're already trying to impeach him. For what? Because he's messing with their money. And many Americans are waking up to the fact that the Democrats are just liars. They're just schemers. They're just people that only look out for their own interest and pretend to be doing something for the interests of the American people. This is what the reality many people are starting to realize about the Democratic Party. But I digress. Let's hear Joe Rogan's thoughts, and then I'll give you a reaction of an American, of a Democratic voter who says he's no longer voting Democrat ever again. Let's take a look.
What's fascinating right now is we're getting a chance to see what happens when you take a business approach to the government in the White House. We're seeing right now with this whole U.S. aid thing, where they're uncovering massive amounts of corruption and waste and just a lot of weird, shady shit with NGOs and where an enormous amount of money is going. And you're seeing someone look at this thing that is incredibly efficient almost by design. And instead of saying, like, well, this is just how it is, and this is how these politicians get funded, so let's just keep this thing going the same way it is and make some incremental changes to try to make people happy so we still get elected. Instead of that, you're seeing a politician, a president who's coming in who can't get reelected, so he's just going ham. And he's just cleaning out everything. And people are freaking out. The same people that say we need radical change. We need radical change. We've got corruption. We need radical change. Okay, well, here's your radical change. We don't need this. But you do. Yeah. The government does. They need oversight.
This fucking political party, the Democratic Party, have lied to us about everything. They've lied about being the party of the middle class. They've lied about being the party of peace. They've lied about being the party that wants to help poor people. Okay? What the last several weeks have proven to us all is that this is a cadre of criminals and losers and spoiled children of affluent parents who were more concerned about looking good than actually doing good. These are people who were more concerned about looking like they were doing something for the American people than actually doing things for the American people. And that's why I'm so angry. Because this party lied to me while stealing my tax dollars. The Democratic Party lied to us all while they brought in millions of illegal immigrants for their own political purposes, for the last 4 years. 20 to 30 million illegal aliens brought in. And now we come to USAID being probably the largest money laundering operation in American history. Congratulations, Dems. You've outdone even Bernie Madoff.
And this is why I think Democrats are losing the culture. Because long ago, Democrats used to paint themselves as the reformers, the change makers, the people who are the compassionate people, the people who cared about people. And over the long term, right, the Republican Party is like your father, right? You know how many people grow up when they're a kid, they didn't like their dad. Their dad was too strict. Their dad was too hard on them and all this stuff. And then when they get older, they appreciate, my dad was trying to prepare me for the world. My dad was trying to teach me a lesson. And that is the Republican Party. Republican Party been telling you for years, hey, Democrats can't do that. Democrats go to your face and lie and say, yes, we can do that. The government can't. We can't do universal health care. The Republicans tell you you can't because we're 400 million people. We're one of the largest nations in the world. Our life expectancy is low. A lot of our Americans are unhealthy, maybe due to processed food. Who knows why? Lack of exercise. We're just unhealthy. And if we insure all these people, it's going to be so expensive that we'll pretty much bankrupt the United States American government. Democrats lie to your face. We can't do that. You elect them thinking that they're going to try to do this. Never do it. Because in reality, the Republicans were right. It's just the Democrats knew, hey, how do I argue with the truth? You make a lie to satisfy the impossible. That's a quote from Thomas Sowell. Are you fighting for the system or against the system? $26.3 billion in waste spending found and eliminated in 1 week. And you thought that Doge couldn't cut $2 trillion before it dissolves in 2026. Democratic Party was mocking Doge. Now look at them. Now they're crying over it. Oh, Elon Musk. But I thought he couldn't do anything. Here's the Thomas so cool, because I feel like I can't do the quote justice unless I literally quote it. The fact that so many successful politicians are such shameless liars is not only a reflection on them, it's also a reflection on us and many Democratic voters. When the people want the impossible, only liars can satisfy. And that's what the Republican Party represents, a practical party. Hey, look, we can't be doing this stuff. Hey, look, we can't keep funding all this stuff into perpetuity because eventually the rubber will meet the road and we'll have to do something about it. This is the reality. People have been knowing this here. I got a video for you guys because this is the kind of stuff that Democrats, y'all don't look good doing this stuff.
Behind me, Elon Musk is seizing power from the American people.
No, he's not. He's doing what the American people voted for. We voted for the Department of Government Efficiency to come in and clean up all the waste in the system. In order for them to do that, that requires them to have access to the financials and see where money is being sent. This isn't complicated, but let's let her continue.
Elon Musk spent $280 million
to buy Donald Trump. Yeah, we know your talking points already. But yeah, you don't want to talk about how Democrats have raised $1.2 billion in 3 months. I like how the Democrats don't talk about that. I like how the Democrats don't talk about how they can't even agree that corruption was found. Democrats are angry at Elon Musk and Doge because they spent decades creating an unaccountable bureaucracy to protect their friends and spend their cash, their taxpayers' cash. Threats to democracy, when it comes out of the mouth of a Democrat, is threat to bureaucracy. This is what Democrat Party is really about. The Democratic Party is a party of the bureaucracy. Democratic Party are the party of they, them, and Donald Trump's the party, is part of the party. That's for you. Like, imagine this. Here's Colin Wright, a liberal, right? You will call him a common sense liberal, still not a conservative, but Democrats committed to radical gender ideology just handed Trump this amazing, wholesome, and historic moment on a shiny silver platter. This was the easiest issue in the world to be on the right side of. All right? America, did we dodge a bullet or did we dodge a bullet? Did we dodge a bullet or did we dodge a bullet?
You know, if you'd like to gather around me, I think I'm going to be okay. Come on. Come on. Secret Service is worried about them? If we have to worry about them, we have big problems. Okay, do you want to do this? Watch what I do, and then I'm going to give you some pens, okay? Are you ready? What a nice picture this is, huh, Governor? You ready? We'll do a good job. Wait, let me press that. I want to make this a really good signature because this is, this is a big one, right? Oh, I think we have a 10. We have a 10.
God bless you, Mr. President.
A layup of an issue, something completely falsifiable. Like you can falsify if someone isn't a woman, easily falsifiable. Democrats defend it. Ooh, and then when they get caught pushing their idiocy, right? Protecting someone who thinks they're a woman versus protecting actual women. This was the Democratic Party. This is where the Democratic Party chose to be their hill that they're gonna die on. And it cost them an election. And instead of learning about it, they doubled down on the very ideology that got them the results, that got them the outcome that they're seeing in front of your eyes today. And that's the only way you can satisfy the impossible. Lie to people. You can be a woman. If you're a man, you can be a woman. Republicans deny that. If you believe in the impossible, you believe liars. And this is how the Democratic Party gets elected. Because people actually believe the lies of the Democrats. Because the Democratic voter wants the impossible. And if you want the impossible, only liars can satisfy you. We can't do universal health care in the United States of America. Oh, this is for the benefit of the American people. We're so humanitarian. But you go into left-wing groups. You got governors, Democratic governors giving $20 billion to nonprofit organizations that are left-wing, but they're supposed to fix homelessness. But homelessness increased in California, not decreased in California. Like, what do you spend your money on? You're spending your money so Democrats can manage these problems. And now that they're losing power and control, they want to cry about it online. Right? And this should be the nail in the coffin for the Democratic Party. How long I've been talking about on this channel, I have receipts of me talking about how, look, saying Trump is bad is not going to work anymore. You can't gaslight people into not voting for Trump because you think they shouldn't vote for Trump. That's not an argument. Just because you categorize something as Trump's doing as racist doesn't make it racist. You have to actually prove that. Calling what Trump's saying here is false is not a fact check. You have to actually have facts that vindicates your belief that this thing is false. When did fact checking become something about doubting someone's assumptions, someone's claim? So people are not allowed to make claims anymore? Effectively what fact checkers are doing. And then when I find out that USAID funded some fact checking organizations, it makes sense why they do stuff like this. They didn't hold a press conference when people couldn't pay their rent. They didn't hold a press conference when people couldn't afford gas and groceries. They didn't hold a press conference when Venezuela drug gangs took over an entire apartment complex in Aurora, Colorado. In fact, they denied that this was even happening. Imagine. They didn't hold a press conference when there was no aid to North Carolina and people were suffering. They didn't hold a conference when the trains derailed in East Palestine, Ohio, and American citizens were crying because they were afraid that they were living in contaminated areas. They didn't hold a press conference when they pulled out of Afghanistan and cost 13 young service members their lives. They didn't hold a press conference when they left $8 billion worth of military-grade equipment to the Taliban. They didn't hold a press conference when parents were begging schools to be reopened because their children were suffering. They didn't hold press conference when they lied to you about inflation for 4 years and they printed 40% of the dollars that are currently in circulation during the Biden years. They also lied about the fact that we possibly was in a recession. They recategorized a recession. You see how New York Times and all these news organizations, they bend over backwards to make sure the Democrats look as good as possible. In my next video I'm going to do, They did the same thing with Kamala Harris's unedited video. I can't wait to watch that doozy. But now Democrats are outraged and crying crocodile tears because someone got a hold of their slush fund of wacky, liberal, New World Order, CIA cut money. Now they're on the streets having a breakdown because they get caught using $70 billion a year for the benefits of getting reelected, funding pet projects overseas, and censoring the American people. These people hate you. Stop voting for them. A message to my fellow Americans. I wholeheartedly agree. Repost, like, share. That's what you do with a message like that. When I make on these videos, I don't know how many times I've made this statement. Democrats are America last. Democrats are themselves first. Anything that benefits the Democratic Party, they support and defend. These institutions, sending $8.1 million to Politico, 3.1 to New York Times, 3.2 to the BBC. Does that benefit the American people or does that benefit the Democratic Party? It benefits the Democratic Party. Who's the first one to put out a story to discredit the Hunter laptop story? Politico. Who's the one who put out the 51 FBI agents that discredited the story? Politico. New York Times, liberal news outlet, constantly defending the Democratic Party. Give election coverages that read like the Democratic National Committee press releases. CNN having weighted panels where more liberals versus non-liberals to try to give a more left-wing perspective on things. Always taking the Democrats' angle on things. And you wonder why the trust in media is in that all-time low. You wonder why many Americans believe that media is actually a threat to democracy. Because the media, corporate media at least, comes off as manipulative, propagandy, dogmatic, it has the worst track record of spreading the most misinformation, disinformation. Oh, if you get a COVID vaccine, you won't spread COVID. We found out that was medical misinformation. But do they suffer any penalty for that? No. But you still want the American people to trust them. When you look at the results, when you look at their body of work, they've been wrong about every damn thing. And if you only listen to right-wing channels or Fox News, they were mostly right compared to the liberal media. And instead of evaluating themselves and how their bias led them to make bad and false conclusions, their bias prevented them from actually getting the story of a lifetime, finding out that Joe Biden, 3 months into his presidency, was mentally unfit to be president. But because he was their guy, because they did a shadow campaign in the background to downplay all the negative coverage on Joe Biden and propped him up to win the election, they didn't have no incentive to actually investigate thoroughly whether Joe Biden was actually mentally fit for president, even though polls showed that American people believed Joe Biden was mentally unfit to be president. Since 2023, the American people felt this way. Did the journalists in the New York Times, CNN, did they look into this? No. But after a fact, after it no longer hurts Joe Biden, after Joe Biden already lost the election, and after Joe Biden's party lost the election, now they want to release data and say, oh, we should have been more curious. We should have done our due diligence. No, you wasn't politically incentivized to do your own due diligence. And this is why the journalism industry is called the most left-wing profession in America. Because we know you're a biased institution. But I digress. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'd like to hear your thoughts in the comment section. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate you guys. If you share this video, it will really help me out in the algorithm. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.